welcome back to On the Sofa, and welcome Thelma, Tara, Rebecca, our regulars. I can see you're already on, and hello to any new visitors. I'm Anna, and I've lived in Scotland all my life, apart from a few brief forays abroad to work and study. I lived in Edinburgh intermittently for a while as a student, and then after I finished university, and I was lucky to be able to camp out with my sister very cheaply down at the bottom of Dundas Street, which is a lovely area of Edinburgh and really handy because you just 10 minutes walk up the hill into the city centre, and you also have access to some really nice outdoor areas such as the botanical gardens and Inverleith Park. One of my favourite things about Edinburgh has to be that you can walk everywhere. Nothing seems very far away. And previously, I also lived on the other side of Edinburgh, in Bruntsfield, and that's just above the Meadows, which is a really popular huge grassy parks. They're great for a game of day on a Sunday afternoon, and also if you're here during the festival, there's lots of fun and games goes on down there as well. And these days, I live down in the Scottish borders, so I'm a country girl, which is a beautiful area, especially if you like cycling and the great outdoors. But I do, when I come into town, I love leaving the van just on the outskirts of Edinburgh and cycling in, and you can get all the way to the shop on a cycle path, which is really nice and sets me up. So Monja's with me, and she's an Edinburgh girl and much younger than me, so she can share some of the hot spots for socialising and eating out as well.
Hi, I'm Monja, and like Anna said, I live in Edinburgh. So I grew up just over the Forth Bridges in Dunfermline, but I spent a lot of my teenage years coming through to the city for shopping and different events. It was during my university years that I got to know the Edinburgh nightlife a bit better. And we travelled up on organised buses and up from the Scottish borders. And that was before I moved to Musselburgh, which is a coastal town just outside the city centre. And now I live about a 10-minute bus ride away from Edinburgh, so I spend a lot of my time either working in our shop or just in my free time around town. Hello to Kate and also to Kim, who have also joined us today. So Edinburgh is the capital city of Scotland and home to the world famous Edinburgh Castle, which is right beside Anna there on that beautiful watercolour illustration. We can see the castle from our shop door actually, even though it is about a 20-minute walk away. So because we are ScotlandShop and we love our tartans, then we will talk a little bit about the Edinburgh tartan. So of course, Edinburgh capital has its own tartan. It features blue and white of the saltire, combined with greens and reds taken from the colours of the hills and landscapes around Edinburgh. The Edinburgh tartan was designed in 1970 by Hugh Macpherson to commemorate the Commonwealth Games which were held in Edinburgh that year. So you can see the Edinburgh tartan on the mini kilt on the mannequin, on Anna's throne, and also on her scarf. And I believe Anna's also wearing some Edinburgh tartan trainers as well that you might be able to see there.
They're perfect for a good bit of stomping around Edinburgh to view the sights. They're very comfy, our trainers, nicely leather and great to wear. So we don't want to be too cruel and tell you all about Edinburgh without given that you're not able to visit at the moment, then we thought we'd share a few virtual experiences running just while you're not able to come. So Emily has written a really fab blog all about this, and she'll pop the link up for you there. But just to give a bit of a rundown of a few fun things you can do from your home. You can go and live the royal life, be like the Queen. Holyrood House is the Queen's official residence in Scotland, and that's situated at the bottom of the Royal Mile, and Edinburgh Castle's at the other end, at the top. And the palace is one of the must-see attractions during a visit to Edinburgh. It's really beautiful. It's on the edge of the park as well, which is a really nice area. So on the virtual experience, you can experience all the grandeur of royal life in Scotland, and there's different tours which explore the grand stair, the drawing room, and the King's bedchamber. And they have little eye icons so you can look out for additional information. So it's really good. It's very interesting. Another thing, we do love our zoo in Edinburgh. We're very fond of our zoo, and of course, it's very famous for its penguin parade. And I can still remember being age 5 and watching the penguins march past me during my very first visit there. But if you read up on the origins of the penguin parade, it turns out actually it wasn't an organised thing. It was a bit of an accident, and somebody left the gate open, and a Gentoo penguin managed to escape and headed off to wander the park, followed closely by the keeper. So who'd have thought an open gate would turn into one of Edinburgh's favourite attractions? So the zoo is currently closed, but don't worry, you can still see, they've got 24-hour cameras, so you can still see the penguins, the pandas, tigers, koalas, anytime of the day or night. So it's a good fun thing to do. You can also, if you're a real Scottish history buff, then you can head back to 1544 using the virtual time binoculars app, which is really clever. Takes you back to 16th century Edinburgh. The app was developed by Smart History, who's a company formed by the University of St Andrews, and it aims to depict Edinburgh just ahead of a planned attack on the city. And an English army had orders to burn the city to the ground, but fortunately the attack was relatively unsuccessful, so you should still be able to recognise some of the landmarks, the 16th century landmarks that are still here today. Now, my favourite one, and we had quite a laugh playing on this, and I'm sure you will, is the bagpipe app, and it's definitely worth a try. And you can play the bagpipe on there. And it also, I don't know how it does this, but you have to blow at the same time. So if you're lacking a bit of coordination like me, it's quite amusing. But yes, you can have a play and learn to play the bagpipes. Because if you're walking around Edinburgh, you always hear somebody playing the pipes when they're busking or practicing. It all adds to the atmosphere. So that's a few of the virtual things that you can do.
Hi to Lillian as well, and to Laurie, who, Anna, she's saying she needs some of your trainers. She's loving the Edinburgh trainers there.
Any time, Laurie, you don't have to be Edinburgh. You can have whichever tartan you like.
So we also asked the Scotland Shop team for some thoughts on what they loved the most about Edinburgh, so you're not just hearing our preferences. And Ellie revealed her love of the history behind Edinburgh and the way it was built in 2 halves, with the new town built 6 centuries after the old town. So Ellie's favourite thing to do is to walk up Arthur's Seat and look out over the city with a 360-degree view. Arthur's Seat is the highest point, and it's on a great big hill in Holyrood Park. So it was actually once a volcano, but don't worry, it's now extinct. So from the top of Arthur's Seat, which you can see a photo there that Emily's got on the screen, you can also see Edinburgh Castle, which, funnily enough, was also built on a volcano, but it's also extinct now. So there's no risk if you're visiting Edinburgh.
And one of the things that Edinburgh is most famous for is the International Festival and Fringe. And this all began in 1945 when the Austrian impresario Rudolf Bing had a dream of holding an international festival in Great Britain. Edinburgh was suggested by the British Council, and Sir John Falconer, the city's Lord Provost at the time, welcomed the idea and the opportunity to turn the city into the cultural resort of Europe. This was post-war, so they were really pleased to be able to get the chance to unite artists and people from around the world. So when the festival first began on the 24th of August 1947, their aim was to provide a platform for the flowering of the human spirit. Well, if you've ever visited the Edinburgh International Festival, I think you will agree it definitely has achieved that goal. And so for 3 weeks during August, in 6 major theatres and a few of the smaller venues as well. And you can take in some really breathtaking performances from some of the most highly acclaimed theatres of music, theatre, opera, and that the arts world has to offer.
We're going to try a video.
For you. I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to show you a quick clip just to give you a feel for the atmosphere, because that's about the festival is it has great atmosphere, but apparently the video is refusing to play, so we'll just have to abandon atmosphere, and Monja will tell you all about the Fringe.
So the Festival Fringe, which is probably the more famous part, came about when in 1947, 8 theatre groups, including 2 Scottish and 1 English, turned up uninvited to perform at the Edinburgh International Festival, and they became known as the Festival Adjuncts or Semi-Official Festival, until journalist and playwright Robert Kemp wrote, "Round the fringe of official festival drama, there seems to be more private enterprise than before." From then on, the name Fringe stuck, and every year millions flock to produce and to enjoy art of every genre. In 1958, the Festival Fringe Society was created to formalise the existence of this eclectic collective of performances, giving a central point of information for artists, producing a printed programme of Festival Fringe events, and selling tickets to a central box office. The unique nature of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival means that it's totally open access. Anyone with a desire to perform and can find a venue willing to host them can put on a show. No single individual or committee determines who can perform at the Fringe, and many businesses and residents offer unexpected spaces during the Fringe for performers who otherwise might struggle to showcase their work. Part of the fun of attending Fringe shows is that you never know what you're going to walk into. Costs are minimal and sometimes even free, and this is where many very famous performers have first appeared on stage, so you never know who you might end up seeing. We also have Lee joining us, who's saying that she should have been visiting us this week, but she'll come next week instead. So that's good that she can still make a visit.
One of the other things that is as well as the Fringe. Apologies, I think my sound is all over the place today. So we're very famous for our castle, and as Monja said, you can see it on the door of the shop. It's the Edinburgh Castle is said to have been built in the 12th century during the reign of David I, but of course it's gone through many changes since this time. The castle's home to the honours, so the crown jewels of Scotland, and also to the 1 o'clock gun, the National War Museum of Scotland, and the 15th century gun, the Monja Anna. Now, Emily obviously got really shy because we have a really funny picture of her, age 5. Oh, there she is. Isn't she cute? There's Emily. We found this picture of her and made her. She's not very happy, but we made her show it here. So that's Emily, aged, I think 5, maybe a bit older, sitting on top of the Monja Anna up at Edinburgh Castle. So the castle has the most amazing architecture and stunning views overlooking the whole city. And if you stand down in Princess Street Gardens as well and look up to the castle, that's also a pretty amazing view. The 1 o'clock gun is one of the famous things and something that makes us laugh. We shouldn't laugh, it's very cruel. When it goes off every day at 1 o'clock and terrifies the tourists, makes them jump. This is there for a reason. It is useful. Ships in the Firth of Forth once set their maritime clocks by the 1 o'clock gun, and it was brought over in 1861 when the businessman John Hewitt brought the idea to Edinburgh from Paris. The guns still fired every day except on Sundays, Good Friday, and Christmas Day. In 2015, the very female fired the 1 o'clock gun as part of the British Army's contribution to International Women's Day. Now, Monja was supposed to be out yesterday to check whether it was still going off. We are presuming that the gun is still being fired during coronavirus. But if anyone out there has some insider knowledge, you can let us know.
I do apologise to Lee. I said that she would be coming next week, but it's actually next year, of course, with all the corona things. So we do hope that you pop in and visit us next year, and hopefully get to see a few of the landmarks that we've been talking about. And Tara's husband is already trying out the bagpipe app that you were talking about, Anna. So I do apologise for the the noise because it is quite addictive, but hopefully you'll get a lot better at it than we did. So next up, another very famous landmark in Edinburgh, although a lot smaller than the castle, is Greyfriars Bobby. And Kay, who runs our dispatch department, actually said that Greyfriars Bobby is her favourite story about Edinburgh. So Greyfriars Bobby was a Skye Terrier dog, and you can see a photo of him on the screen there. The story goes that to keep him company through long winter nights, John Grey took a partner, his watchdog named Bobby. Together, John and Bobby became a familiar sight trudging through the old cobbled streets of Edinburgh. Through thick and thin, winter and summer, they were very faithful friends. John eventually died on the 15th of February 1858 and was buried in Greyfriars Kirkyard. Bobby soon touched the hearts of local residents when he just refused to leave his master's grave, even in the worst weather conditions. He spent 14 years guarding the grave of his owner until he died himself on 14th of January 1872. There is now a statue of Bobby next to Greyfriars Kirkyard where his master was buried. And passers-by often touch his nose for good luck, and that's why it's all golden there. It's sort of worn away on the statue. The story about Bobby has been made into books and films, including a Disney movie. And Jessica, who works here in the Edinburgh shop and is an amazing illustrator, has included Bobby in her backgrounds for the spring-summer shop window. And you can see that there that Anna's holding up. Rebecca, who's one of our regular watchers, is still hoping to visit us at the end of the year. And we really hope you can as well, Rebecca. It'd be lovely to meet you in person.
Yeah, and one of the things you must do when you come, Rebecca, is to visit the Dean Village. So Lillian on the customer service team describes the Dean Village as a hidden gem, and we definitely recommend a walk to discover this tranquil Dean oasis on the Leith. It's only 5 minutes walk from Princes Street and just down from our shop. And in the past, the village housed mills of various kinds, and remnants of the industry can still be seen today. So look out for millstones and carved stone plaques with baked bread and pies. You can follow the walkway along the Water of Leith and you'll come to the impressive Dean Bridge, which was made by Thomas Telford, and the classical temple of St Bernard's Well. The most striking building in the Dean Village is Well Court, recently restored with support from Edinburgh World Heritage. Built in the 1880s as model housing for local workers, it adds to the picturesque charm of the area. And this Dean Village isn't something you'll find on your tourist guides and maps, but it's well worth a walk and a really nice escape from the hubbub. We always hear Monja telling visitors it's like walking into a fairy tale.
I'm sure, Anna, as well, beside you, you'll have another one of Jessica's illustrations of Dean Village. And I think personally that Jessica's captured the beauty of Dean Village in that. It's really pretty down there. So at the other end of Princes Street, standing proudly in the Princes Street Gardens, is the Scott Monument. It is one of the most iconic Edinburgh landmarks and a must visit for tourists and locals alike. And again, you can see that in illustration beside Anna and on the photo there too. After the death of Sir Walter Scott in 1832, the great and good of the city came together to agree on a fitting monument to this outstanding Scottish literary figure. In 1836, an architectural competition was launched, inviting designs for an appropriate memorial. 2 years later, the trustees approved the design submitted by George Meikle Kemp, and the construction began in 1840. Sitting proudly at the base of the monument is Sir Walter himself, carved in Carrara marble by Sir John Steele. The monument statue, fashioned from a single piece of marble weighing 30 tons, took the sculptor 6 years to complete, which is just insane. It features Scott and his beloved hound Maida. And right next to the monument is Waverley train station, which takes its name for Sir Walter Scott's famous Waverley novel series. And I would recommend taking the trip up. I did it quite recently for the first time, And although it is very tight and narrow staircases, it's quite an adventure to get to the top, and you get beautiful views of the city centre and Princes Street.
Another one to do when you come over, Rebecca. So, from the second tallest monument, to celebrate a writer in the world, we go deep below the ground in Edinburgh, and there's a network of alleyways and abandoned houses that have been standing there since the 17th century. And these closes, as we call them, are the source of many of Edinburgh's ghost stories. So you can take a guided tour down some of those streets today. And the tours are absolutely brilliant. They are quite scary. My daughter was absolutely terrified. And then once you're in there is no escape route. So she was terrified. But our little brother, thought it was fantastic and the best thing he'd ever done. So today we welcome Sam Thompson from Edinburgh Tour Guides, who's created just a little video to give some of her top tips into how best to explore these courses.
Sam Thompson from Edinburgh Tour Guides, and here are a few tips on how to explore the Old Town. Edinburgh's Old Town is full of narrow streets. Explore them. They look a bit dark, maybe not welcoming, but it's amazing what you find down these closes. And remember to look up. There's lots of things above your head, like this marriage lintel, that are easy to miss because you're taking in everything else around you. Tweeddale Court, beautiful little close, down a narrow entrance that a lot of people just walk by. They don't realise there's much more down here to see. Now, Bakehouse closes in the Canongate part of the Royal Mile, which is at the bottom end, and it's often overlooked. The Canongate has lots of history, lots of places to explore, lots of places to get off the beaten track. This is the back of Huntly House, which is the Museum of Edinburgh, and a lot of the museums here are free, so if you have time, go in, explore, enjoy yourself when you're in Edinburgh.
And that's the beauty of having a tour guide. If you've not got a lot of time or you want to see something in particular, someone like Sam is brilliant at just picking out some really off the beaten track bits that you might miss otherwise. So, during the 17th century, Edinburgh's Old Town suffered major overcrowding. And the city walls, which had been built to protect its residents, meant there was no space for it to expand outwards. So instead, the houses were packed in more and more tightly, and they grew upwards to 8 stories high, which is why Sam was telling me to always look up. A web of narrow side streets called closes led off the Royal Mile, and these were locked up at the end of each night. And the 17th century city authorities were worried about losing trade to Edinburgh's new town, so they decided to build a new Royal Exchange, and that's still there today. There was just one problem in building this, and the streets of the houses that were already in the ideal location. So rather than knocking these houses down, they took the top floors off and used the lower floors as the foundations for the Royal Exchange. So one of these streets was Mary King's Close, probably the most famous of Edinburgh's underground closes, and definitely one to go and have a look at because it's quite incredible, the architecture.
Mm-hmm. Lee is saying that she recognises that from Outlander, the TV series, so it must feature some of the closes in that as well.
Yes, and there's a virtual tour you can do of Outlander around and just see all these different locations that they used for the filming. It's really good as well. Oh. If you go, there's a couple called Mary's Meanders who do some fabulous Outlander tours, and I think Sam, you may be involved in that as well. We'll find some links and we'll pop them on for you if you're an Outlander fan.
We also have an update. Tara's husband is now a pro at Flower of Scotland on the bagpipe app, so didn't take very long to master that one. So even if you don't fancy a ghost tour, but you have some time while you're visiting in August, the Edinburgh Military Tattoo is always an amazing thing to see while in Edinburgh. So I think if all is going well, Emily will show us a video now before I dive into the history of the tattoo and a little bit more. So that was the masked bands, and it was just a little clip from the tattoo.
I think maybe lost Monja there. Yeah, we seem to have lost Monja. So we'll maybe... Oh, I'm not sure quite what's happening. We've lost Monja, so we'll move on. And what Monja was going to explain was a little bit of history behind the tattoo. I'll maybe leave that and I'll move on to some bits I'm talking about, and Emily might manage to retrieve Monja, find out where she's disappeared off to. So one of the things that I absolutely love is to go on holiday with a good book. But while your holidays are on hold and you're locked down, then how about a new book? So a bit of Rebus, who is our Scottish, some Scottish literature. Now, I love a good crime novel, and Ian Rankin paints the picture of Edinburgh's darkest back closes as his famous whiskey drinking Inspector Rebus solves many a crime in his very unique, quite a personality. I love reading books where you know the streets or the towns where they're set and you can picture it in your head. And Rankin, I think, does a great job of instilling the atmosphere and personality of Edinburgh and Scotland into his books. When it opens up again, you could go to the Oxford Bar, which is locally known as the Ox, and that's on Young Street. And that's where Rebus used to go for a wee dram, so you can pretend you're Rebus at the end of a long, hard day. Go there for a whiskey. And Emily in our marketing department is also telling me that there's also Rebus tours you can do when you come to the city. So if you're a big fan of Ian Rankin's books, then you can do that, and we can find a link and post it here for you. And Monja was also going to tell you about Harry Potter. Oh, she's back. Sorry, my screen's now died, so I have to see what's going on. Monja's back. Do you want to tell us, first of all, about the tattoo, Monja, and then you can go on to Harry Potter?
Yep, sorry about that. So the term tattoo derives from a 17th century Dutch phrase, do den tap toe, which means turn off the tap. A signal to tavern owners each night, played by a regiment's corps of drums to turn off the taps of their ale kegs so that soldiers would retire to their to their billeted lodging, at a reasonable hour. With the establishment of modern barracks and full military bands later in the 18th century, the term tattoo was used to describe the last duty call of the day, as well as a ceremonial form of evening entertainment performed by military musicians. The first public military tattoo in Edinburgh was entitled Something About a Soldier and took place in 1949 at the Ross Bandstand in Edinburgh's Princes Street Gardens. The first official Edinburgh military tattoo, with 8 items in the programme, was held in 1950. It drew some 6,000 spectators seated in simple bench and scaffold structures around the north, south and east sides of the Edinburgh Castle Esplanade. In 2018, the stands were able to accommodate a nightly audience of 8,800, which allowed 220,000 to watch the multiple live performances. The tattoo performance takes place every weekday evening and twice on Saturdays throughout August and has never been cancelled due to inclement weather, although unfortunately this year, because of the coronavirus pandemic, it has actually been cancelled, which is the first year, and the Fringe Festival have as well, which is such a shame. So since 2012, each performance has included a fireworks display. And I remember from my very first time going when I was quite young, I went with my brother and my parents. And my brother waited until the end of the tattoo when all the bands came out and the fireworks were going off to have a little sleep. So he actually missed the best part of the whole performance, which was a right shame. But Anna Rebecca is asking who the author of Rebus is as well.
Oh, it's Ian Rankin.
There you go, you can read up on some Rebus in your free time.
I think he's maybe moved out of Edinburgh now, but he certainly lived in Edinburgh for a long time. It's very good, Rebecca, but I warn you, once you read one, you'll end up reading hundreds of them. There's lots of them, and they're very good. You get really into the Rebus personality, his character. Great.
So another famous series which was heavily influenced by Edinburgh is Harry Potter. And J.K. Rowling moved to Edinburgh from England and began writing the world-famous book series in the Elephant Cafe near the Meadows in the centre of the city. It's a beautiful spot and great for a cup of tea. And if you're visiting, I would recommend spending some time in the bathroom reading the many tributes to the author and the different characters that visitors from all over the world have written on the walls from floor to ceiling. Close by the cafe as well is Greyfriars Kirkyard, which we spoke about earlier, where Bobby was, with gravestones. So the kirkyard has got all the gravestones in it, and this is thought to inspire some of the character names for Harry Potter, including Tom Riddle and McGonagall. This then leads on to George Heriot's School, which is thought to have inspired the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where the books take place. And lastly, another famous spot is Victoria Street and the Grassmarket area in general, which inspired Diagon Alley with its towering and unusual buildings. So you can see in that photo there, it's quite a unique street.
So I think that brings us to the end of our tour of Edinburgh, our brief insight into what we all love about Edinburgh. It is a fabulous city. I don't know anyone who's come to Edinburgh and says they didn't like it. Sometimes the weather is not amazing, but then I've also heard that the bleak weather adds to the atmosphere, especially if you're going exploring the coasts. So do come and see us. We're at the west end of Princes Street on Queensferry Street. So come in and say hello, and we can then tell you where to head off to enjoy the rest of the city. So we've got a few questions, I think, Monja, as well.
Yep.
I can't see that, so I'll let you lead off on the questions.
So our first one is from Rebecca. She's asking what some of our favourite places are for food, coffee, Scottish delicacies, or special treats, things like that.
And yeah, there's lots of lovely food and drink in Scotland, and some fabulous local producers, lots of lovely seafood, and obviously haggis. You definitely have to try some haggis if you haven't tried that. One of the maybe lesser known treats, maybe you've heard of a deep fried Mars bar, have you, Becca? That's one of I presume that's not what you're referring to, but if you go to the chip shop, we'll do the deep fried Mars bar. Monja's boyfriend James was telling us about his favourite place for fish, which is down at restaurant, the Lochfine restaurant down in Ocean Terminal. Now, if you go down towards Ocean Terminal, it's down on the Water of Leith. So there's some lovely old cobbled streets down there, and some really lovely fish restaurants and other restaurants down there for you to enjoy, and lots of them offering good Scottish fare. And just a couple of doors down from us, here on Queensferry, we've got a French Scottish restaurant as well. So there's lots of options. And if you want a good whiskey to go along with it as well, just round the corner from us is which is really nice. Got a huge range of whiskies, so you definitely couldn't drink all of them in one night. You can try. There's also the Devil's Advocate, which is off the Royal Mile, and they, as well as lots of lovely whiskies, do some really nice Scottish platters. And they have a lovely outdoor area, and they give you heaters. They have heaters and they have blankets, so you can sit outside whatever the weather. So I'm wondering if they might be one of the ones who are allowed to open up. If they've got outdoor seating, then hopefully they'll be able to open up soon, and we'll be able to go there and have a wee dram and some haggis.
Hi to Joan as well, who's joined us. So we've also been asked, are there any Christmas markets in Edinburgh?
Yes, at Christmas there is. During Christmas and New Year, Monja, you probably know more than me, but yeah, lots of Christmas markets. There's the whole city, well, because New Year is massive, Hogmanay is obviously massive here, there's a huge Hogmanay celebration, so the Christmas markets start in December, beginning of December, and run right through. So there's lots of Scottish goodies, also other vendors from other countries who come in and set up their little stalls, and it's all round St Andrew's Square and Charlotte Square and along George Street and down in Princess Street Gardens. We usually have an ice rink, and yeah, there's lots of fun to be had. And Monja, you always talk about the Christmas shop as well, which is open all year round and down in the grass market. So if you need a bit of Christmas in July, then that's where you can go as well.
Yep. You don't have to come at Christmas to get Christmas in Edinburgh. So sorry, Joan is from I don't want to pronounce it wrong. Anna, you'll probably know better than me. Dunedin. It's that's the one. It's your favorite city in Florida and the Gaelic for Edinburgh as well, I believe.
Yes, I'm a big fan. Now, we were out in Florida earlier in the year, so hello, Joan. Lovely to have you with us. And we were out in Florida earlier in the year, just before the whole coronavirus thing broke. And Emily and I had a great time running pop-up shop and doing Highland Games and meeting all the lovely people from the Scottish societies out there. So, yes, a favourite place of mine, and I can't wait to go back.
We have also been asked where the best place to go for a ceilidh is as well in Edinburgh.
Yeah, so there's lots of ceilidh fun. If you come at New Year at Hogmanay, then there's lots of places to put ceilidhs on. But all during the rest of the year, just here at the West End, there's the Gilly Doo, which is a fabulous venue, and they every Friday and Saturday night they have a ceilidh on, so you can go. Don't have to be an expert, and you can go along and learn how to ceilidh and just join in the fun. So that's a really good place to go. If you during the festival, if you want a free venue, then there's down at Stranash in the grass market is another place where we usually do a daily ceilidh during the festival as well, which is always good
fun. So somebody has been asking why it's called the Royal Mile. And this is, so the Royal Mile is at the heart of Edinburgh's Old Town, with Edinburgh Castle at its head and the Palace of Holyrood at its foot. So it comes from the tradition of a processional route for kings and queens for the last 500 years. It's approximately 1.81 kilometres long and is the most popular part of Old Town. And if you are here during the Fringe Festival, that's a good place to go to get some leaflets for different shows and to see some street performers as well. It's sort of the heart of the Fringe. Somebody else has been asking us, what are the prominent clans in Edinburgh?
So the Stuart clan would be the most prominent clan. It is the royal clan and the Queen's tartan. So in theory, you should ask the Queen whether you may wear her tartan, but doesn't really follow. The Stuart is a tartan that can be worn by anyone, and is probably one of the most famous ones in the world. You'll have seen the Stuart Royal, which is the very red, bright red, scarlet red tartan, and with quite a few different colours running through it. I've not got a piece here, I should have been more organised. But yeah, it's one of the most recognised tartans worldwide and can be worn by
anyone. And I think our last question is, where do the locals spend their time?
Monja, you'll have to answer that since you are a local.
Well, my favourite area probably is the grass market and the Cowgate. It's a little bit off the tourist track, and it's got loads of different independent traders around there, no chain stores or anything. And one of my favourite shops is Armstrong's, which is an amazing vintage shop. It's well worth a look around. Some weird and wonderful things in there. And like Anna said, that's where my favourite Christmas shop is as well. Emily in our marketing team also recommends Mama's, where you can get a haggis pizza. Emily actually took a friend from Thailand there who was very confused by the concept but seemed to enjoy it. So I'm sure that many newbies to Edinburgh as well would enjoy it too.
Well, I think that's us come to the end of there's a question come up. Sorry, I can't
Oh.
read. Cowgate. Rebecca saying Cowgate. Yes, that's exactly how it's written, Rebecca. Yeah, the Cowgate. We'll find you a bit of history on the Cowgate and why it's called that, because I have to admit, off the top of my head, I'm not very sure. But we'll find that out for you and post it on here as well. So I think that's all of our questions. And so thank you everybody for joining us. Now next week we thought we would talk all things clans. So what is the clan system, the tartans, and all the history behind it. So if you want us to talk about any particular clan, or there's a bit of you have some questions around anything really, send them in, let us know, and we can do our research and make sure we've got the answers. And if you ask us on the night, then we'll tell you there and then, or we'll have to find out and get back to you. But we'll definitely find out. So I think that's everyone, is it, Monja?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Fine. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again